And we are live again. Okay, so you will realize that today our setup is a bit different because today we wouldn't be doing a beat making video, but we will be discussing what to expect for live like specifically live 11 like so live Ableton Live 11 it's coming out, so the hype is real, I guess. But yeah, we'll discuss a bit, the views of Live 11, going through like what life, the whole development of Live Lite throughout, since 9. I never used 8 Lite before because 8 is, to be honest, quite some years ago, right? So I started officially using Live Lite from Live Lite 9, and boy, are there a lot of limitations. So Live 10 Lite onwards, it's really like there's a lot of upgrades that make it very nice to use, and it's like actually decent enough to really doing more pro level stuff, I suppose. I mean, like, you can still, it's still aimed to be like a basic version for you to try out live, and if you like it, then upgrade to probably standard. You don't want to jump to intro, because intro, it's, to be honest, like quite similar to Live Lite. But yeah, we look through and see how things goes, right? So live, as mentioned, Live 11 is just around the corner, So let's see when I think they might have it here. Okay, Live 11. So this is the whole thing, like the hype about them having comping, like finally, MPE, some new devices here and there. Yeah, basically the comping and MP, these are the two things that are more hype. And yeah, but you see, like, there's more comping comes with link track editing, and then MPE, of course, new devices. This tempo following feature, right? So this is like they would listen to certain audio, and then your tempo would sort of drift, because ultimately, if you are playing in a band, it's impossible for us to be like robot that plays super precise. Even if you are listening to metronome, sometimes you might sort of sway a little bit. So when you sort of play to a backing track, for example, then the things might go haywire. So they are tempo following. And then let's see, macro snapshots, rack improvements, some new MIDI effects, new sounds coming. Okay, so early 2021, right? So I think last Live 10 sort of come out about February, if not mistaken. So yeah, it's supposed to be coming anytime soon now, right? But yeah, the thing about Live Lite is that they don't launch it together. Usually, like they launch it maybe like a month or maybe even 2, if not mistaken. But definitely not soon, but maybe 1, 2, 3 months or even more. Not so sure, but that's roughly the idea behind it, right? But okay, so let's talk about Live, Ableton Live, right? So each version of Live, like, that's why we talk about Ableton Live 8. 8 is actually, I think, more than 10 years ago. About there, yeah, it's like very, very, very long time ago, because each version of I suppose you kind of version or edition, so there's a lot of different, like, you might get confused, because like we'll be talking about different tiers of Live, then we're talking about the different numbers. I suppose it's like edition or version of Live, right? So Live 8, right, I started off using Live 8. That is like because each Live version, right, they lasted quite a while. So I think Live 8 actually lasts like 4 to 5 years or more. And I'm like, I started using 8, but then that time it's like not really that in depth yet. I only use it for mainly recording. So, and afterwards, Live 9 launch. Initially that they launched, like, there's nothing much like as exciting. There's not much features in there. Still, like, it's like maybe some minor upgrades. But Live 9, because like personally I've been following like the whole journey, like of Live 9 development. So like throughout, they introduced Ableton Link, and then they introduced new simpler, and then they introduced, I think, group tracks. No, maybe there's 10. But yeah, so the idea is that, right? So usually a version of Live lasts quite a while, right? But it's not, lifetime is pretty short, right? So you're expecting, personally, I'm expecting it to last quite a while, because now we are only on Live 10.1, right? So for context, Live 9, we actually got updates until 9.7, right? And now Live 10 is only 10.1 something, and then poof, Live 11 is coming soon, right? So, personally, I'm not disappointed. I'm somehow disappointed, but then, you also understand also, because, with the pandemic and all, and to be fair, they actually they actually done a lot like last year, right? So they actually extended their trial version. Back then, I think they started off using like a 3 months trial, and then to a certain point, they actually like extend even more. Like they sort of double up to about 6 months, right? So that's a very, very, very long duration for trial. And in fact, if I say someone can even produce an album just using a trial, for half a year, right? And nearing the end of the year, they actually collaborated with Splice to actually give out Live Lite, right? So I suppose thanks to that also, that Live Lite, a lot of people sort of jump on board Live Lite, and our videos sort of gain some attraction here and there, because we've been focusing a lot on Live Lite, right? But yeah, there's a whole story behind the Live development, right? So, well, Live 11 is coming soon. And so today we're gonna look into how Live sort of develop, especially on Live Lite side. So just now we talked about Live 9 having introduced like Link, the new simpler some of things like that, right? And from Live 9, so Live 9 back then, the story is that when you're using Live 9 Lite, they don't actually have complex warp modes, and they are simpler. The simpler itself doesn't have any warp mode inside there. It's just a very, very basic sampler. So that's why it's called simpler. So that's why you say Live 9 is actually super limited, right? So you cannot do all the things that we have sort of thought, using hosting loops within drum rack, more complex sort of warping things here and there. It's very hard to do it back then, because imagine, even if you want to sort of freeze track, for example, sometimes when you want to stretch freeze track, you don't have complex pro mode. So when you sort of stuck with only beat, tone, and I think texture, I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Live 10, they sort of give you complex warp mode. So their Live 10, they did throw quite a few surprise. So now we're sort of trying to sort of foresee whether they would give more surprises for Live 11 Lite, right? And so we're going to take a few comparisons. So usually Live Lite and intro, they are quite similar in a sense, right? So maybe intro have bigger library, and they have this whole 16 tracks limitation as compared to 8 tracks in Lite, right? So, but then a lot of things are the same, right? So they share the same audio effects, they share almost the same MIDI effects, what do they call it? MIDI audio instrument, yes, instrument also, they're roughly the same. So and we have a confirmed list of Live 11 intros features. So you can compare it, and we see how things paired up, right? So that is the idea of Live 11. And okay, so now this is Live 10 Lite, and over here are the new and upcoming Live 11 intro, standard, and suite, like the comparison chart, right? So before jumping right to it, let's talk about Live 10 Lite, right? So from Live 8, from Live 9 to 10, right? So 10, the Ableton sort of introduced capture, groups within groups, what else? Some upgraded utility, and this and that. So let's just go through Live 10 Lite over here, because now it is still Live 10 Lite. So they are so group tracks. So this is the one thing that they upgraded. So you can sort of use multiple level groups within groups sort of thing, and capture, right? And then so this is the one thing that they sort of improved. So from, I think back then during Live 9 Lite, you are only allowed to sort of, I think, host like 2 audio inputs or about 4. So, like super limited. Now imagine like if I say you want to record, like if you're a singer-songwriter, maybe for example, like sometimes even if you sort of extend, like wanting to put like 2 mics and 1 guitar, for example, you can't do that, right? So with 8, now you can at least record a full drum set, for example, like multi mic sort of things. But of course, once you do that, you sort of have eat up all your 8 tracks limit. But it is a good feature to have, right? And then input and output both, and then of course complex watt modes, right? So this is the one thing that is like super nice, to actually have it here. And along the way, when Simpler sort of announced the new Simpler, I think it came in like about 9 point in the middle of the road. They don't launch it first, right? So same as Link, right? So both Link and the improved Simpler, Live 9, 10 Lite, we get to enjoy all these things, right? And then the instruments are very basic. There's nothing much as complicated. They don't have synth, right? So you need to rely on third-party synthesizer if you want to use those. But yeah, basic sampler, basic racks here and there, and all the effects. So like we all know, right, the lists are quite basic, so there's no limiter, there's no EQ8. But yeah, this is the thing, utility is itself updated for Live 10. So yeah, they also give it to the Lite users. MIDI effects, pretty standard so far. And yeah, some of the library here, right? So if I look at a live intro, for example, right? So see the software instruments 4, right? It's the same. Like we in a live Lite, there's also only 4. And then like sounds, 1,500. Let's see here, about quite similar, I suppose. Yeah, pretty close. If I say you just compare like sounds, right? Maybe they are referring to presets. I'm not so sure, but yeah. So like these are the differences here. And audio effects, of course, there's more. Yeah, how many more? I'm not sure. But still, one thing for sure is that they live intro still have no EQ 8. Let me just see. Scroll. Yeah, I should probably use the search function. Yep, EQ8 not available. So this is the one thing that we know. We probably wouldn't be getting EQ8 even on Live 11 Lite, because this list is the list for Live 11 intro, right? But there are a few things that is quite surprising, right? So for example, let's scroll through. Yep, this is the one. So video import and export. So this feature in Live 10, even intro, they don't allow for video import and export, right? So this is a surprise. So they sort of allow it for Live 11 intro. So will it comes to Lite? Not sure, but it's possible, because maybe like nowadays, remixing videos, it's a thing now. You saw someone captured a weird goat sound in TikTok, for example, and someone can just download it, and then they use that to sort of slice it up and play it into an instrument or something like that. So now back then, maybe those who want to use videos are probably people who actually score. So maybe as with the 8 tracks limitation, if you host a video within it, you only have 7. So it's quite limited in that sense. But it's like maybe this is their approach of trying to entice film scorers, wannabe at least, because since as mentioned, video remixing is a very common thing now. So if let's say they are to sort of tease you, because the whole idea of Lite version is that it is there to sort of get you started, and if you really like Ableton Live, then you will eventually upgrade yourself to at least standard or suite, for example, so that you can enjoy the full extent of unlimited tracks, more effects, more library, etc. Right? So maybe they might just include this video thing in Lite, and yeah, at least get people who started out in video remixing, and because like since as mentioned, once you eat up that one particular track, you only have lesser track to work with, then like there's more chances for you to upgrade, consider upgrading, because if you really like the workflow and the whole core of Ableton Live, for example. But I guess we shall see. But let's look into like more core functions, right? So we talk about Ableton Live 11 is all about that, comping and also MPE, right? So this is like the most look forward features, right? At least for me, maybe not MPE, because I don't own any MPE devices, and especially in Malaysia, to actually buy an MPE device is like super expensive. So I guess maybe it's the same for anywhere else also. So MPE, it's good to have, I guess, but then I probably wouldn't use it to begin with. But at least we know that in an intro, they do have comping and also MPE, but they don't have link track editing, right? So usually this is quite a surprise, like, because usually for you would say like comping or other things, they're quite like within Ableton's core, right? So I'm not so sure like why they decide to not give link track editing, but pretty happy to have comping at least, and also for MPE. But comping, for example, if let's say they are to allow it for Lite, for example, it would be super nice, especially if let's say if someone is starting out, when you just maybe you are a singer-songwriter, you bought a Novation, Focusrite, sound card or something like that. So it comes with Ableton Live. Like, so usually singer-songwriter, like you would record yourself, singing. You would like doing covers or originals, for example. So comping, is a very, very nice feature to do all those things. So like for the longest time, Ableton Live is not the best tool for audio recording. And I've heard a lot of friends who they are Ableton users. They are it's like they're Ableton fans, but then still they would resort to recording using Cubase or Logic, for example, because like they have comping, and I think Cubase, I heard like they have like certain like better Melodyne integration or something like that, right? So so this comping thing is most welcome, right? And since it's here within intro, so hoping that it will be, because for me, I don't really record a lot of vocals. So actually for me, so I'm still contemplating whether to upgrade, because as mentioned, I was hoping for more development within Live 10, and like now there are not many major upgrades, as compared to Live 9, where they introduced Link, they introduced new simpler, a lot of new. It's like you're buying a basically just free upgrades, like something like that. So for Live 10, there's only one. So then Live 11 is out, right? So for me, since I don't really use comping and I don't own any mini MPE device, so if let's say comping is available in Live Lite, I might just record my vocals in Live Lite and then 11, and then import it within Live 10 for like more advanced editing and this and that, because that is my personal workflow anyways. I would record vocals using another project, and then I will sort of comp it up, then bring it into my main project, for example, because sometimes when you sort of work on like more complicated tracks, there's quite a lot of different a lot of tracks basically, so it's very taxing to the CPU. So I would just separate it to process it separately. So if they have comping in Live 11, sweet, right? But no link track editing, but it's fine, I guess. Like we shall see, I guess. Like, this one is confirmed. There's none already one, but we never know. So like maybe they might surprise us still, because for example, for the Live 10 Live, for example, so they surprise us with complex out mode. They surprise us with more inputs and outputs. So will they finally give us more tracks? More than 8 tracks. 12 tracks, 16 tracks. That's a bit far fetched, but I'm guessing maybe not as much, but the video thing, that one thing is like quite surprising. We're not sure whether they would finally allow video import within Live 11 Lite, right? But yeah, so basically these are the few things that is like sort of we can sort of predict, right? So MPE, comping, video, right? So these are the three things that is like at least confirmed for Live 11 intro. So maybe they would inherit it to Live 11 Lite. Yeah, because as mentioned, if let's say like they start to expand their audience, I would say like back for Live 10, for example, like actually for throughout like basically Ableton Live in general, they sort of entice more towards like modern electronic music makers, or like people who seek modern ways of songwriting, more experimental way of doing things. So maybe like they want to sort of expand their market. So with comping, they will definitely get in more singer songwriter who who is looking for more traditional editing method, right? And then video. So this just by having these two features, they can get two different markets. So maybe they would open up and trying to entice at least film scorers who maybe they are curious to try out scoring with Ableton Live, for example, but to actually buy a suite or standard, it's quite expensive, because I think Ableton Live is sort of still the more high-end side of DAW. If I say we have to compare, maybe maybe this might not be a good comparison for people from other country, but for example, if you're living in Malaysia, maybe Ableton Live is like the Mercedes of cars, whereas Cubase is like the Toyota, which is like more accessible. Then the European cars are more expensive, for example. So them opening up to get to sort of get bigger demographics, film scorers, singer songwriters, it's a reasonable move, I would say. So but yeah, we shall wait. So complex what modes, it's probably there already, and there's no new updates on that side, so that those will probably remain. So yeah, I'm just hoping it will be at least the same, because you never know, because they don't have link track editing in intro. Maybe they might remove MPE for Lite, for example, or maybe even remove comping. But like if I say you have to sort of judge based on that, opening up new demographics, getting singer songwriters and film scorers, that would be doesn't seem to be the right move in a business perspective, for example. But MPE, okay, makes sense, because like maybe you would argue that MPE is a more advanced sort of thing. Maybe if you want to use MPE, so you upgrade. But again, still like, why don't you want to give a bit of MPE for Lite? Because sometimes someone own an MPE device and they want to just try it out. Maybe if I say they felt like this is a nice thing to do, why not? Other than that, let's see like some of the updates are maybe that updated instrument racks. Maybe they were also included in Live Lite 11. So I think there's also a new what do you call that, trigger, advanced trigger. So like in Ableton Live now, like your global clip launching features is quite limited. Like, so I think like now the Live 11, they sort of allow you to sort of pre-program your clip launching, and then you can sort of do change, using like song changes. So these are more like for performance side of things, to have like more controls to do more advanced stuff when you're performing, right? So usually the practice is that when something is like within the core of Ableton, they would there has a high chance that they would just inherit it to Lite, right? So like for 10 example, like capture groups within groups, they are very like within Ableton's core. So like there's no way for them to like turn it off, for example, like effects. So effects are pretty much just like plugins. So they have options to like not give you EQ8, for example, limiter, right? yeah, speaking of limiter, maybe they will finally give a limiter to Lite, because like the one thing that they do have it in intro, but let's see. Okay. So color limiter probably not. So like there's just like I think these are like a more advanced limiter. And yes, limiter. So like they do have limiter in here, and they also have Live 11 for. They also have LFO 2. So now as we all know, like Max for Live, like I think in 10 it's like more integrated. I think 9 they're still like two separate things. So when you have Max for Live devices and stuff, like you only can use it when you're using Suite, for example. But now that they sort of integrate Max for Live a lot more tighter, maybe they might just allow LFO, because like since it's within that their core code or something like that. So Max for Live is probably exists within Live Lite, right? So maybe they might include LFO too. Never know, right? So yeah, these are some of the updated for Live 11, like more features and this and that. So same goes to, I think, delay. So like back then I think Live 10 they sort of introduced a better delay. So like back then like simple delay, they sort of give you like some visualization. You can set like ping pong, this and that, and they also give that to, I think, Live Lite, if not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, so it's the name simple delay, but then it's like they so upgraded it, right? So you can use like a more advanced one. So yes, MPE control is a MIDI effect. So yes, maybe they might not include it. Same goes to expression control. But yeah, those MIDI effect, improved MIDI effects rack, audio effects rack, high chance it might just trickle down to Live Lite, right? So what are your thoughts? Like what do you hope to see in Live 11? Like I know everyone is expecting to have more tracks, but I guess we have to be reasonable here. It's a give and take thing. As mentioned, limitations are not always a bad thing. Sometimes it might just help you out. So sometimes when you have choices, choices are good and bad at the same time. Sometimes when you have too much choices, you sort of get lost. You're like, hey, you have unlimited tracks. Let's just keep on experimenting. So within limitations, sometimes you're forced to work in a certain way. So 8 tracks is probably gonna last for quite a while, and I'm fine with it. Because for me, at least this is considered a free software. Of course, you have to purchase something to enable to get it, right? But it's also one of the cheapest option out there that allows for this whole Ableton workflow. So of course you can say like Traction, for example, they have a lot. You can do a lot of things with Traction, but then the whole Ableton workflow, it's still one of the more mainstream though. That if I say in future you want to sort of upgrade, maybe let's say like you work in a studio or that actually use Ableton Live, they actually have the full version. But maybe you as an intern or a student just starting up, you don't have the money to invest, right? So if I say you own a Novation device, you own a Focusrite device, or actually a lot of other device, you probably do have a version of Ableton Live Lite, right? So if you can practice with Live Lite, and it allows you to work better, in your studio, for example, and you know how to run their Suite version, for example, as compared to if let's say you have to use other free digital audio workstation, then the workflow is not the same, right? And yes, a thing about Live Lite is also that once you own Live Lite, you can sort of just constantly upgrade to like the newer version of Live, right? So for example, like back then I owned a Live 9 Lite, and when Live 10 Lite announced, you are allowed to upgrade, right? And then we're hoping that it'll be the same for Live 11 Lite. And again, I don't see like why they don't allow that, because I think that is also why they are giving out Live 10 Lite back then, right? Because again, Live 10 Lite is their means of enticing people to try it out, and if you like it, then you upgrade, right? So that is the whole concept of a it's like a trial, right? But then it's like a longer trial, for example, right? So if let's say they sort of give you, they constantly upgrade you and they tease you with new versions, so like you there's a higher chance that you would just consider upgrading, right? But yeah, so to give a context, if let's say you own now we say that if you own a Live 9 Lite, you can get a free upgrade to Live 10 Lite. But it's not the same if you own Live 10 Suite, for example. You have to pay to upgrade to Live 11 Suite, right? So yeah, I guess like for me personally, I have the Live 10 Suite, and I'm also running a Live 10 Lite on the side. So seeing that, I probably wouldn't upgrade anytime soon. So if let's say I'm looking forward to Live Lite 11, if let's say they have comping, they have MPE, they have some new stuff here and there to just to experiment with, more improve audio effects rack, improve MIDI effects rack, improve launch and all those kind of things like that. So yes, so these are the short discussion for today, right? Is to explain a bit what to expect, and of course open up to the floor. If I say after you watch this video, be it like now or like after the stream ends, what are your thoughts on Live 11 or Live 11 Lite in particular? What do you see, foresee, or what do you hope to see? Since it probably wouldn't launch anytime soon. Maybe if like Live 11 Lite is to launch this month, then maybe it will probably come like next month or even next 2 months, for example. So there are still some time to wait, I guess, and control the hype a bit, I guess. So we will definitely do a Live 11 Lite review once it's available. But until then, I guess we can just guess, and looking forward to the day that Live 11 Lite comes out, right? So again, this is Benson, and I hope you do enjoy this short little discussion. Let us know in the comments down below what do you think of Live 11 Lite, and I will see you guys